Hey everybody, Keith Dotson here, and in this video we're traveling to the historic small city of Danville, Virginia to photograph old mills and historic architecture. I first heard of Danville when I published a podcast episode about the work of photographer Emmett Gowin, who grew up there and made some of his best early work there. Being the curious type, I looked into Danville and following Google Street View discovered that it's chock full of abandoned old factories and mills, like this one on the Dan River. As I researched the historic downtown on Google Street View, I found some incredible old ruins and I began making plans to go to Danville. There was one ruin in particular that I wanted to shoot, and when I got there, I searched the town to the point of frustration, but I just could not find the site I was looking for. Later, I went back to search Google again and discovered that the building had since been demolished, even though it was still visible on Street View. Very frustrating, and it's not the first time I've been bitten by out-of-date Street View information, but that's the way it goes. Nonetheless, I found some great subject matter, like this old ruin. When you shoot abandoned buildings, you sometimes get to work in these kinds of conditions. Danville prospered in the 1800s from the construction of cotton and textile mills along the river, which was a source of power. Something else happened here that you may have heard about. It's the wreck of the old 97. In 1903, a mail train jumped the track from the train trestle as it crossed over the river, killing 9 people and injuring many others. Well, I finally found the location of the old mill ruins I was looking for, and it was on this lot. You can't even tell it was ever here. Next, we'll take a walk down the street of Danville's Old Millionaire's Row. Look at the size of these houses. These were built by tobacco planters in the late 1800s and early 1900s. As you can see, the light was not in my favor. Blue sky all the way. I love the person who planted these morning glories along this ironwork fence that's got an ivy design motif built into it. So how haunted is that house? I like this old building with the ghost signs, but between the light and the power lines, there's no shot there. Now we're in the River District. It's a district of more old mills and industrial buildings, but these are pretty well maintained. This art project is called A Stitch in Time, and it's all knitted or crocheted. Maybe a reference back to the city's historic textile industry. I really don't know, but it's cool. I stumbled across these old abandoned wooden row houses and stopped to get some shots. You can see my favorite one of this bunch at the end of the video with all the other black and white photographs. One of the things I wanted to do while in Danville was go to see a small display about Emmett Gowin and his wife Edith at the Museum of Fine Art and History. The museum is located in a big Italianate mansion that was once the home of a tobacco planter and was briefly the headquarters of the Confederacy after the fall of Richmond during the American Civil War. This cast of characters probably the ones who lived on Millionaire's Row. That looks like an ambrotype. That's pretty cool to see that here. Most of the house is dedicated to the historic aspects. As I looked around, I was beginning to think that I was in the wrong museum. I didn't see anything about Emmett Gowin, but finally, and I think it was in the basement, I found the local Hall of Fame display with the Gowins. There he is amongst the race car drivers and military heroes. Here, heading out of Danville to go home, I made this pit stop to just admire the view of the Blue Ridge Mountains. Oh, and one more thing. I've been seeing this huge abandoned old house on trips to Virginia for years, and I just can't see a way to access it to photograph it. There doesn't even seem to be a road near it except for the freeway. It's hard to see it in this terrible footage, but it's quite a place. Unfortunately, this is about 5 hours from where I live, so I just can't randomly hop over and investigate it further. Here are some of the photographs I shot on this trip. I hope you like them. Thanks for watching, everybody. Be sure to visit my website at keithdotson.com.